Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another episode of the Linda Ogweno Political Show. We start with an appreciation to you who have been watching and giving us feedback on how we can make it better. And to Women United for Our Future, you have continuously supported the production of this particular show. So we do not forget to appreciate you as well. Today, I know you are wondering, what are we going to cover? We want to look at what is known as IEC. So what does IEC material stand for? You know, you definitely have to do your branding if you're going to campaign for a political seat. And so which are these particular IEC materials? For those who are new to this channel, this is the Linda Ogweno Political Show. And here we train aspirants on politics and political processes in Kenya, hoping that we'll be able to bring better governance to Kenya. And so IEC materials, these are the materials that stands for information, education, and communication. So these are just what the materials you're going to give voters out there to help in your branding and to help in your communication and to help get you particular votes. It is very important that you have them because they're going to ensure visibility of your candidature. They're going to communicate your message and your values. You're going to use them again to encourage voters to turn out in their numbers to vote, and of course to also vote for you as well. You also want to build trust and credibility when you do it consistently and professionally. Again, it is going to help you to address misinformation and rumors. You know, this is politics and there are so many rumors that can come out there, some of them positive, some of them negative. You want to be able to control that space. And so to dive into it, the first thing you're going to look at is banners and billboards. For some of you, you may know these things. For some of you, this may be new. And again, if you look at, for example, banners, there are so many banners. There are different types of banners. You know, banners are also made from different materials. You have maybe others that are made from fabric. You have others that are made from different materials. So take your time and familiarize yourself with it. But also at Linda Ogweno Political Show, we'll try and break down these things for you so that you have all the information that you need to have when you'll be running for elections. So depending also on where you're going to put your banners, you know, like if it's an indoor setup, there are banners that are meant for indoors. There are those ones that are meant for outdoors. For example, there are those ones that if you've seen them, they're maybe put on top of a road. Maybe if you're getting into a county, those big banners. So depending on where you're going to put them, you want to know, you want to prepare, and you want to have them. Again, you have like the teardrop banners, you have the vinyl banners, the mesh banners. There are different type of banners that are out there. Billboards, I think all of you know them, but they're usually done by marketing agencies, and they are put on different billboards in different sectors of a particular county. And we'll be able to also talk about that in depth, and even we'll go through the cost of some of these things. We're talking about flyers and brochures. Flyers and brochure are more or less the same things, but their flyers are smaller, so they're those ones that you just give hand. You distribute. You distribute to your voters by hand. Brochures are a bit. They have more information. You can find that maybe you're folding it. A flyer could be like a one page that you just give to somebody, and a brochure is more detailed, so you find like it's something that you fold. It's also different from a manifesto, but they're very good and very important, especially if you've been doing door-to-door strategy. You may want to have them. Some people also go ahead and they get creative and they put it inside a newspaper article. You could be talking to these people who sell newspapers. Then when they allow you, so you put inside them, so when they're selling their newspapers, you know, you can be able to get marketing as that. But stay tuned into the Linda Ogweno Political Show. We continue talking about these things and how you can be able to win your own campaigns. So we're going to look at the next one is branded clothing and accessories. And again, this one is also as diverse. For example, if you talk about t-shirts, there are different types of t-shirts. There's the light, there's the heavy round collar, all that. They come at different costs. Prepare yourself and plan yourself. We're talking about capes, kofia. You can have baseball capes. We can also have those ones that are made from paper. The ones that are made for paper usually very most people go for sun hats. Most people do them if it's a big rally, and if it's sunny, then they come in handy. But depending on the type of hat that you decide that you want, go to look at the different designs online, pick the one that you want, and they have different costs. So prepare yourself for that. We are talking about lassos. We are talking about reflector jackets, and even reflector jackets, they're different and they have different designs and they come with different costs. So you want to choose early which design that you want. We're also talking about wristbands, the ones that are worn here. it's a branding material. If you want to go that route, they are very popular, especially with the youth and the young population. You may want to think about that. We're talking about aprons. Aprons are very common with women in the markets and just anybody who needs to cover themselves. We're talking about dust coats. For the people in the Juakali sector, sometimes they have to go below the car. They want to wear their dust coat so that their clothes do not get dirty. So you may want to just have that also as a branding material. We're talking about half jackets, especially for the weather. You have seen this. I know the half jackets when it's cold. You may want to have that for your campaign. Well and good, but prepare for it and budget for it. We're talking about lanyards. This is what is usually worn on the neck, especially for your door-to-door team. They may want to have that for marketing and also for just branding you, and also for people to just be able to recognize them. We're also talking about vehicle branding. Yes, I'm sure some of you have seen vehicles that are branded, campaign vehicles, are branded. If it's Linda Ogweno, you have my picture there and maybe what I am standing for and the position I'm going for. That is a type of branding. We have matatus. Yes, we have seen graffiti on matatus. So you can have your own matatu having that graffiti, or you can talk to somebody and they can brand for you. Of course, they may require something small, but if they are your friends, they could give you that as in-kind support. You may want to consider that. And that applies to motorbikes as well. They can be painted in your favor. And even trucks can be branded. And even that truck for mass outreach, all these things can be branded in your favor. Again, if you're looking at the digital space, we'll talk about IEC material in the digital space. And so we are talking about social media graphics, be it on Facebook, Twitter, formerly Twitter, currently X. We're talking about Instagram. We're talking about WhatsApp status design. All these things are things that will just help people be able to see you. Again, we're talking about videos and reels. Okay, continue watching Linda Ogweno Political Show. We'll break down for you. Some of you may not know what all these reels that I'm talking about, but we'll be able to have in-depth conversation and be able to cover that. Again, we're talking about infographics, very important that you also consider that as well. Branded stationery. We're talking about notebooks, okay? This is just a notebook that is branded with your logo, with what you stand for, a few things about yourself. You may want to consider that. We're talking about pens, diaries, calendars. These are things you want to give people out there, but they have your image and they have the seat you're going for, and one or two things about your message, what you're standing for, what you're representing. So you may want to have that as well. But they come at a cost, so start early and prepare for that. They're also different. For example, if you're talking about notebooks are very different. Pens, the different types of pens. So which one are you going for, and what is the cost implication of it? Again, we're going to look at stickers and labels. You could be having a sticker that can be put in different places. You could have asked your supporters to put them at the back of their phone. That is very important, so anybody who's talking to them is able to see it. You could be having stickers that are put inside matatus. I'm sure if you've taken a public matatu, you've seen stickers. Usually they have different messages. Yes, some of them are very interesting, and for Kenyans, you know what I'm talking about. But you can take advantage of that and also have yours inside matatus. Of course, the person, the owner of the matatu, could again give you that support in kind, or they could charge you for it. But that is depends on how you negotiate with them. But you could also consider that people can put also these stickers on doors. Some people can put it on motorbikes. Where you put them is up to you to be as creative as possible. You could also put it, give children, and this is one of the things I did in the last election. It was very, very interesting to see the places that children were able to stick them on my behalf, and it was a very interesting experience. Continue watching, I'll be able to share that. But you can also, my point is, you can also make them also as very small as those ones that are put in the bubble gum, those very small ones. And children used to like, I believe they still do. When you open a bubble gum and you get a sticker there, you get very excited. And as a child, you go and stick it maybe in your bedroom or somewhere in your notebook, and it excites you. And children are still children. These are things that excite them. So you may want just to explore that and see where that will be able to take you and how it's going to work on marketing. Remember, children are very good marketers. If they can market on your behalf to their parents, you stand a good chance of winning that election. Again, back to stickers, we are talking about some of them can be put on drinking water. You find a politician, you may want to support a function with drinking water. So then you go talk to that company, so they remove their label and then they put your label instead. Or you can work in hand in hand. You can have that label having your design and the particular company also having theirs, or they can also put just yours. That can also work with you. So we were talking about stickers and labels. This can be put everywhere. So just be creative, exploit and just be creative. One of the things I like about stickers, I'll tell you, most of it is affordable, and so it's affordable and it can take you far. We want to look at door hangers and wall murals. So if you're wondering what is a door hanger, these are just um, it's like a key card. It's small, but it hangs at the door. For those who have gone to hotels, maybe sometimes you find there's something that is hanging at the door, and so when you get into the room and when you're getting out, so just something like that. So they can be hanged on doors, different doors. It's a marketing strategy you can consider having it. But when you talk about wall murals, these are just when a wall is painted with graffiti. So you find, especially in the low income areas or informal settlements, you find a whole wall is drawn. For example, Linda Ogweno vying for. I want to leave you guys to fill in that part, which position I should vie for in the next election. But back to what I was saying. So you find a graffiti is drawn and it's looking very nice and very interesting. You may want to involve an artist doing that. Of course, that will come at a cost, but yeah, it will give you marketing and branding, which is very important. Some people also do it with a paper spray. You find that is done on walls and tunnels, but you want to talk to the county government so that you don't get in trouble for doing that in the wrong places. Again, we are talking about public address and branding. So you may want to have backdrops, podium banners, branded tents. So these ones you're going to use when you have your own town halls meeting and community meeting. So you just have something that you're going to put at the back. So when these conversations are going on, it is also just standing there and just giving you marketing. So we are talking about branded umbrellas. This is very nice, especially for women in the market, women in open air market. So you can give them a big umbrella that would work. It will really help them in their day-to-day operations. But you can also do small umbrellas for individuals. So when somebody is walking on the rain and they're shielding themselves from the rain, they're branding you. Think creative, think wide. You can consider umbrellas. Again, you want to think about maybe face masks. They're not as common as the one they used to the time of COVID, but still people are using them. So just be creative and think along those lines. We are talking about also calendars. There are wall calendars, there are desk calendars just for putting on your desk, and also pocket calendars. So as you give people calendars, you also want to put your branding, your image there, and it will help market you. If you want to do calendars, of course, start early. It makes more sense to give it to somebody at the beginning or at the end of a year for the next year. So if you're going to use that strategy, start early, plan, and of course you can use that as well. Again, we're talking about SMS and WhatsApp broadcast. Continue watching. We'll be able to just talk about the social media space and just some of these applications and how you're able to use this particular branding and IEC materials. But you want to have that at the back of your mind. You also want to think about lapels and badges. So lapels are usually worn here, and badges. This is also very nice for your door-to-door team that they are working. It will just help in that marketing. But for those who don't know, majority sometimes they're used in funerals. You find people have an image of somebody, the person who has died, the late, and it's there. It's also very nice and something you can use. And people who are supporting you, even if it's not the door-to-door ones, they can just wear it in solidarity that I'll be voting for so and so as they do their other businesses. Again, you want to think about branded water bottles and mugs here. Kikombe ya chai iko na brand yako, it has your brand there. So that is a tea mug. It has your brand, it has your image, it has what you're vying for. You can give it to your friends as gifts. You can have it in different functions, and that is very, very important. Again, we're talking about branded water bottles. People need to take water when they're going to the gym or they're just walking around or go to the market or doing their own businesses. So you just want to give people water bottles that have your label in it. People can buy maybe as they are fundraising towards your campaign, or you can also choose to give it to people for free. Either way, decide which strategy you're going for, but remember that water bottles are also an IEC material that you can consider for your campaign. Again, we are looking at branded shopping bags and kitenge getaways. We're in the African setup, so we like kitenges. So you can give it to women. Women like it, but even men as well like it. So you can give it away, but it has your something with your name and your logo somewhere there. Again, we are talking about shopping bags. Women, we like carrying shopping bags when you're going. So a shopping that just has your name, the name, your name, and it's very nice. It's easy and cheap marketing. So you may want to consider having that as well. We are talking about audio IEC materials. We will talk about flash disk and public address caravan. There is this public address that goes round and round in a town. Of course, that is just publicity, and it's an IEC material, and usually it has your banners, your logos, your banners, your posters on it. That is definitely IEC material, but they're not very cheap. So if you want to use that, budget for that very well. But if you're looking at flash disk, you may want to consider buying a number of them. Then you go have a DJ or somebody just put in a collection of music in save within those flash disks. But in this music, somewhere in between, there's your marketing material that is being put there. So for example, they can listen to music one, music three. Somewhere along the way, they hear Linda Ogweno vying for this particular position. Kindly vote for her, and then the music resumes. So then this flash disk you can give them to matatu drivers. By matatu I mean the public service vehicles. So you can give it to them. So as people are going to work, or as they're driving people to from one destination to another, then they get to play this flash disk. So while these people are listening to this music, at the same time they're hearing about your candidate and it's marketing you. That could come at a cost. The drivers may want to charge you for it, or the owners of the vehicles, or they can give it to you as in-kind support, but it's something that you want to consider. Again, you can also talk to DJ or people within clubs, that they can also, as they're playing their music, then they can also, throw in something here and there for your candidature, and that may market you as well. So continue watching this channel. We'll be able to share as much as we possibly can get as far as winning political election is Kenya is concerned. But when you talk about audio IEC material, that is regards also to music. They say music is food for the soul, and so you may consider having a musician sing a song towards your candidature, and this can go viral, and it can really work towards your favor. Again, you find even coalitions also just explore this option, and it really works. For example, if you are in the Kenyan campaigns in the last election, there was a song, Lero, Lero, ni Lero, 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 ni Lero, 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 ni Lero. You guys know that song, and you can remember the coalition that it was representing, and it really augured well, and it worked, I'm sure, to their favor. So you may want to consider that. Of course, a musician may charge you for it, or they can also decide to support you with it, but you may want to consider that IEC material as well. We're talking about visual campaign boards, and these are just boards that have been made, but now these ones, they can be portable. For example, you go and put them somewhere, and you can also move them to another location. At the end of the day, you can fold them and take them somewhere. You may want to consider that. Again, we're going to look at educational booklets, and you may want to do civic education to the voters, and you may want to do this through booklets. So this particular booklet, its cover may have your photo and what you stand for, or inside that booklet you can dedicate maybe a page or a section of that page towards that. So you have your photo and maybe something that about your message, something that that will both relate to the booklet and also towards your campaign. So when somebody is reading this particular booklet and this particular information, then they're also able to read one or two things about you. You may also co-author a book, or just author a book by itself. So when your book is selling out there, or the one you have co-authored, as people are reading the contents of it as well, it is working towards your favor. Again, you can decide to sponsor somebody else's book. As an author, you may want to maybe support their publishing. So in as a thank you, they may give you a page within their book, so that you're able to say one or two things about you and your candidature. You can consider that as well. Again, you want to talk about invitation and tickets for events. You find that maybe you're hosting an event, and that event has tickets that are being given to people. So within that ticket, a small portion of it, you can put something about yourself and your candidature. If you're hosting that event, you could also be sponsoring another somebody else's event, and so when you're negotiating, part of the negotiations, you can agree with them that on the ticketing they give you a slot, so that you're able to put in something about your candidature. In the day and age of technology, we have seen people scanning QR codes when you're getting into a function. So you may want to also think about that. As they're scanning this QR code, the next page that they go to is something about your candidature. And continue watching this channel. We'll be able to explore that in depth. How are you able to do that? How are you able to take advantage of that? Again, you want to think about branded tokens of appreciation. Somebody could have done for you something that you're grateful for, maybe a donor, maybe just people who are in your campaign team, and you're grateful and you want to appreciate them. You can decide, apart from just the verbal appreciation, or just you can even mix them together. When you're giving them a physical appreciation, maybe you want to give them something like a certificate or something like a key holder, that somewhere in that key holder you have put your image and said something about your candidature. So as you're giving them the key holder, it's also marketing you at the same time. I would want to say that as far as IEC material are concerned, try to be as creative as possible. For instance, you can also decide to partner with certain companies and organizations. So that when they're producing a batch of their products, then you can also use that to also brand yourself. For example, let's say you can collaborate with a seeds company. You could be in an area where you want to support your voters with the seeds. And so you approach a seed company. So when they're producing a certain batch, then that batch then will the branding of that batch will have your image and a bit of also that company, or they can also just let you have your free will. So then that batch, when you're giving it to your people, also has your image, and you see the way that is likely to work in your favor as you're giving it to your voters. Again, you want to think about printed manifestos and policy booklets. Policy booklets is just a brief about what you're going to do about a particular policy and some of the things you'll do. But manifestos are very common and are given to people. So when you're giving out people, you want to brand your manifesto, and apart from saying what are the things you're going to do for them, you also put in your image and one or two things about you, and that is going to work. Again, you may want to consider campaign newsletters and bulletins. You find some people have they periodically produce maybe a blog spot or a blog or something that they have written, and people are reading it, and so you want to keep them updated. This is what we have done, this is where we are, this is where we are going. If you want to take that approach as well, of course, throw in something about yourself and your candidate, and as people are reading it, it will definitely work in your favor. As I come to the conclusion of this particular episode, I'd want to remind you of the book, the word of our word for the day, which comes from the books of Proverbs, chapter 16 and verse 3. And I'm going to read. It says, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans." So this particular verse emphasizes the importance of surrendering one's plan and actions for God's guidance and will. It suggests that true success and fulfillment of one's plans come from aligning them with God's purpose and seeking His blessing. So as you go ahead and try to plan your IEC material, you have seen there are very many, they are different. Put your plans to God, and when this aligns with His plans, then things will be able to go well and to work in your favor. Thank you for watching for that up until this particular time. In the next episode, for all this IEC material, we'll be able to break down the cost implication for you. How much does it cost for you to be able to use one particular IEC, and so that you are able to budget for it in your campaigns. So watch out for the next episode of the Linda Ogweno Political Show. Once again, thank you and bye-bye.